The stress of writing a CV or a resume.
A curriculum vitae.
Now, we have changed careers before. So you think it would be easy if you went to do it again, right?
Yeah, no.
It's not.
Well, they initially oversell the job, so then you have to come in and kind of oversell yourself. But for most people, that feels so disingenuous. Like, I'm just an honest dude trying to get an honest freaking paycheck. Like, help a brother out.
Like, you think it should be the easiest thing in the world, right? I'm just writing about myself.
No,
But I struggle to do that anyways, right? But now I'm trying to do it in a way that's trying to capture some random person who I've never met before's interest.
which we don't need to, but I'm going to anyway, is doing like a dating profile. Because in both instances...
No, that's more dread, trust me.
You're trying to sell yourself.
That's way more dread.
And it's so annoying.
So you're just saying like job hunting is basically just like professional Tinder.
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn.
I mean, bro, if you get on your knees, you'll rise that corporate ladder pretty quick.
Imagine you have like 100 applicants for a job, right? And you have different screening processes. So you have a process that will like look for a very key thing, and that will get you down to say 50. Now you're looking for like if they're close by, if they're far away, if they'll have trouble getting in. So now you drop it to 20. And then you kind of scan through for certain other things then to get it down to say like a final 5 to interview. So out of that 100, 5 people are actually going to get to see you in person so you can actually get to know them. 95 didn't. But they are still 95 humans with a story and personality, persona, experience, everything else. But you literally just from looking at a document went, not interested.
As somebody that reviews CVs and everything else, what would be your top 3 tips for making a decent CV?
I mean, for a start, if you're applying for something that requires qualifications, make sure you have the qualification, otherwise you are wasting yourself and their time.
Point 2?
Don't make it black and white. Put something on it that differentiates it from everyone else's. It's a competitive field. If there are 100 to 200 people applying for one job, which is probably on the smaller end, most of them are going to have black and white CVs. Give me a reason to remember your CV before I read it.
I'm trying to get you 3 concise points to help with your CV, but it's hard, dude, to bleed it out of.
Oh, third one. Probably be personal statement. You can capture a lot about yourself in that first paragraph. If someone's going to read anything, it's probably going to be the top part. Wagwan.
What are you saying?
Hold on, mate. What are you saying?
I'm surviving with this one, bro.
Cool. See you next week.
That's all, folks.
But did you know that cheese strings were invented in 1976 in America?
I mean, how much cheese is in a cheese string?
I don't know, but did you know that it's usually mozzarella?
No, I didn't.
And did you know that the stringiness is actually science?
In what way?
The way that it's made to peel apart is actually scientific. It's intentional. Like, it's not like a random thing. It's like, oh no, you just put it apart. It's actually specifically done to be like that.
Well, it'd be pretty daft if they named it cheese string and it didn't string.
I get that, but like the fact that there's actually science behind it, it's not just a block of cheese that you peel apart.
It's not just a stringy cheese, yeah.
No. There's aligning milk proteins, which is casein. Apparently, they do this in the cheese making process and they heat the mozzarella up to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit and stretch the thing. But did you know that if you freeze a cheese string, it turns into a bouncy ball?
Well, now I've got to try that.
And apparently, some people just use it as stress relief by peeling it apart and don't actually eat it, which is moronic.
Some people are really funny with the texture of food, and cheese strings are kind of.
And there's different variants across the world, including in Korea, where they basically encase it in like sausage casing, which sounds gross. Becomes a cheese string sausage.
But then baby bells are encased in wax.
You don't eat the wax, though.
No, but then do you have to eat the sausage casing?
That's the point. Sausage casing is edible.
It is.
Wax, not ideally edible.
True. But you know there's some dummy that has just bitten straight into it.
Probably, but it's also quite fun to peel that wax off. Wax on, wax off.
Mr. Miyagi. Talking of waxing on and waxing off, do you want a hypothetical?
Oh, I guess so, mate.
If you was a stripper, what would your name be?
Ha ha!
Davy Dukes.
Scorpio Bear.
Dynamite Dave.
Bear Grylls.
Barely Grills.
Barely Grylls. Sweaty Betty.
Definitely.
Bro,
Yeah.
I'm jostling around a pole. That thing's getting greased. Best believe.
Homegrown grease.
You know when people like hold up on top of the poles, which is actually quite impressive. I would just do that and then just slide.
Yeah. You know,
Be propelled.
you know the pole spins and they don't. It's again like one of those things that you just kind of assume that they're spinning around.
They spin.
And pole spins.
Maybe some of them do, but some of them don't, bro. That's why they're like it's quite impressive. Like, it takes a lot of strength.
But I know they can spin on poles and everything else, but there are poles that basically do the majority of the spinning.
I'm sure there is now, bro. But I'm sure there's still some that are just plain on metal with some lube on there, man.
Hey, each to their own.
Some KY, and they just go.
Could you imagine that?
Imagine like the friction there would be if you didn't.
I don't want to.
Just a dry pole, bro.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you actually
imagine it in winter as well when it's cold.
Bro, the thing is, the strength that it takes is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it takes a lot of strength and a lot of skill, but because of what you're doing, it don't get the respect that it really deserves in that sense.
But they earn money.
Yeah, bro. If I knew I had that in my bank, like, bro, if that was your party trick, you knew that you could throw it up a pole.
I'm making money, bro. I'm making dollar.
Any more name ideas? The bearded wonder.
I actually can't think of any names, but I should be able to because that's gold.
See, I've got so many, like, but then it's like they're not organic. Do you know what I mean? They're not. How many times can you spin off Dave though as well? Like, there's got to be a Viking themed name. Damn it! Drop your suggestions on Dave's stripper name. There are definitely more. I'm trying to think of a pun on calf. I don't want to leave too much dead air, so I don't want to spend too much
baby
time
cow.
thinking. Nah, the calf cowboy. Just Dave strutting in nothing but cowboy boots.
Blue collar cowboy. The working class bear. That would get misinterpreted, wouldn't it? Real quick. At least I'd be able to work across multiple different orientated strip clubs, I guess.
Yeah, and to be fair,
I reckon I'd clean house.
I didn't say it has to be a gender specific name either.
I reckon I would clean house. If it was a gay strip club, I would earn $1.
Would you?
That's arrogant, but I would.
Would you be disappointed if you didn't?
100%. I'd be heartbroken, bro. I fancy my chances more in a gay strip club than one that was like for women. 100% fancy my chances more.
Yeah, I can see it.
In a one that's for ladies, bro, I'd have to be buff. I'd have to drop some serious weightage or put on some serious lap. Some serious arms.
Become a massive.
And I can't be bothered for that. Whereas, gay strip club, I'm just a bear, bro. And I reckon they'd be like, yes, I'm gonna throw my pound coins in. And I'm gonna punch you in the mouth if you do that again. You insert them in the slot, damn it, Steve.
Dave's taking rolls of pound coins, apparently.
Bro, hot dog that bad boy, man.
Whatever you need to pay the rent, bro.
Pure hip thrust. Just, bro, I gotta pay bills. I need to get at least 5 coin stacks in my buns. How many do you reckon you could take? Right? I reckon 3 down the crack. No penetration here, by the way. 3 down the crack. I reckon you could take 1 in each canyon.
This is
Gooch
such
Canyon.
a twisted variation on
So
Charlie
there's
Bunny.
5, right? How many coins in a roll?
I have no idea.
I reckon I can fit one under each titty. Alright. So we're taking 6 minimum. Each armpit can hold 2, I reckon. That's 10.
What about the belly button?
Believe it or not, it's not that deep or that wide. Though if I sit in certain positions, it does look like I'm smiling.
Oh.
So I reckon I can fit 10 rolls of coins on the body. If we're just walking normally or shuffling. Now, how many are we going per roll?
Say 10 by 10.
I'm taking a Hondo easy.
You reckon you could smuggle out £100 in coins in crevices?
I reckon I could put more than 3 in my crack, bro. That runs deep, homie.
I'm just waiting to see that Mr. Beast episode.
That runs deep, bro. You know what I want that? Like, we're getting at least, if we go like that, we're getting at least 4 fingers. You know what I mean?
Oh my.
You don't want the thumb up, though, because that's when you do get a surprise.
So many people have had that surprise thumbs up.
Right. You don't want to be taking them coin rolls to the bank, though, man. That's a scratch and sniff.
Bro, could you imagine the look on their face?
You want to take that to one of them? You want to take that to one of them?
Why do these coins smell funny?
You're taking them straight to a coin store at a supermarket, innit? Like, you know you're going to lose 10%, but it's worth it because you don't want the judgment.
Bro, some people would take the judgment and friggin' save the 10%. Bro, have you seen inflation? Save the 10%.
So that's a whole coin roll I smuggled up for nothing.
Bro, could you imagine if like money could talk, the places that it goes, the friggin' things that it sees and all of that stuff? Like the notes,
I don't want it to, bro.
they could tell some stories.
Bro, the coins, man. Imagine the amount of crap on things like that, man. Imagine the amount of DNA in your wallet. The amount of DNA in your wallet. Bro, think of where your cards go.
Bro, I used the cash machine earlier on. I swear to God, it might have been the first cash machine ever created.
Bro,
Like, I know I had to crank the thing before I put my pin in.
bro, I'm not even a germaphobe, but like I refuse to finger touch those things. I like literally knuckle it. I'm like, it's gross.
James, knuckle punching friggin' cash machines. You must look like such a caveman at the cash machine. Give me money!
100%. It's so rare that I do it as well. It's just to go get my hair cut. It's like slow. But like, the other thing as well is when you get the screens that are barely lit up, and you're just there like, does that say?
Yeah, that.
Or the ones that are like mad low down for no reason.
Have you ever used a Cockney cash machine? No. So instead of actually saying like £50 or 10 or 20, it's got all of the Cockney terms for those. Genuinely, I see it, I used one before and I was like, what? The actual...
There's an actual thing.
Mm-hmm. Genuinely.
Where was that?
I think it would have been somewhere probably around East London somewhere. I think. But yeah, Google it, Cockney cash machine. They exist. Get a squilla, get a monkey, whatever the terms are. Right, should we go get into the episode?
Yeah, boy! I was wondering how long it would take you to actually do anything.
I'm waiting for you to do something.
If you didn't turn, I would have held that for a long time.
I know, that's why
As soon as you turn, I started corpsing, man. Why you have to ruin my intro, bro? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to the Perspective Chasers podcast. I'm Dave.
And my name is Lindsay Lohan.
Popped. Oh boy, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about the anxieties that come with changing jobs or career paths.
Ugh.
More importantly, the stress of writing a CV or a resume.
A curriculum vitae.
Now, we have changed careers before.
Mm.
So you think it would be easy if you want to do it again, right?
Yeah, no.
It's not. Tell them, homie.
Oh, bro, like, literally just the first question of where to start. Like, there is so much. Leave my rolling rolls alone. Okay, I felt it. It's my rolling roll. Okay.
You've had a haircut.
Do not touch
it's
my
more
rolling rolls.
prevalent now that you've had a haircut.
Now you're getting self-conscious about your own.
Oh no, I know that they're just kind of hidden because my hair is a bit longer. You're so prevalent because you get that skin fade.
Leave my rolling rolls. Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I've done that. It's just
it's alright, nobody's touched me in a while. I welcome it. But just Warner Brother.
You're a bit sticky.
Not yet, but touch me again and we'll see.
Anyways, we're talking about like changing jobs and CVs and all that kind of
stuff. Oh yeah, we're meant to be professional, my bad. That's the other thing as well, is like, bro, so many jobs, what they actually advertise for, the reality of what the job is, are two completely different things. Like, they'll fancy out, like, we want a data analyst, this, that, and everything else. And really and truly, you're punching numbers into some random screen or whatever else. And it's essentially a copy-paste job. Like, bro, the amount of, like, you need to, they initially oversell the job, so then you have to come in and kind of oversell yourself. But for most people, that feels so disingenuous. Like, I'm just an honest dude trying to get an honest freaking paycheck. Like, help a brother out.
Believe. But it's like, do you know what, like, I mean, it's been like 5 years or so since I changed career, but I'm just like looking back thinking, how did I do that, man? Because honestly, like, writing a CV is stress. And it's just absolute dread. Like, you think it should be the easiest thing in the world, right? I'm just writing about myself. But I struggle to do that anyways, right? But now I'm trying to do it in a way that's trying to capture some random person who I've never met before's interest.
Do you know what? I reckon the best thing to kind of compare it to, which we don't need to, but I'm going to anyway, is doing like a dating profile. Because in both instances...
No, that's more dread, trust me.
You're trying to sell yourself.
That's way more dread.
But you get where I'm coming from. Like, you're literally trying to make yourself that puppy in a window. And it's so annoying.
So you're just saying like job hunting is basically just like professional Tinder?
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn.
I mean, bro, if you get on your knees, you'll rise that corporate ladder pretty quick.
I mean, I guess it is just a meat market at the end of the day, isn't it?
But there's so many instances where, like, you have to big yourself up a little bit, but so many people feel uncomfortable doing that. Or, bro, even the jargon of it, like, simple things like the terminologies that some people use, like, bro, we've done it and been on the reciprocal end of it as personal trainers, where you throw a little bit of jargon out there just to show somebody you know what you're talking about or whatever else. Or you've had somebody do the opposite to you and they've tried to overtalk you and use big words and you're like, yo, dumb it down a little bit. Like, come on now.
True. I also think the other thing, like, I got both perspectives now as someone who actually looks through CVs and has to hire people sometimes. And it's strange, man. It's such a strange feeling. Knowing that, like, you're just looking at a document, but it's actually a person. Like, that's someone's, like, professional story. And basically it's down to you whether you look at it, study it, or just go, see that.
Yeah.
And the thing that's happening on a daily is kind of weird to me, because imagine you have like 100 applicants for a job, right? And you have different screening processes. So you have a process that will like look for a very key thing, and that will get you down to say 50. Now you're looking for like if they're close by, if they're far away, if they'll have trouble getting in. So now you drop it to 20. And then you kind of scan through for certain other things then to get it down to say like a final 5 to interview. So out of that 100, 5 people are actually going to get to see you in person, so you can actually get to know them. 95 didn't. But they are still 95 humans with a story and personality, persona, experience, everything else. But you literally just from looking at a document went, not interested. Like, it's wild to it's wild to comprehend to me sometimes. That's the system we live in.
Yeah.
I think we should change CVs.
To what?
30-second video format.
But what if you're not comfortable on camera? That's okay for us. We're fine on camera.
Tough. I want to get to know you. If I own my own company, I would change it. I would change it. Send me a 30-second video, no editing, one time.
One time? I'm sure there are probably companies that have various, like...
That would change the whole dynamic. What would you do in 30 seconds? You see my point? Because in 30 seconds, I can get a lot of personality out. You can get a gauge on how I look, how I sound, how you think I might integrate. But what are you actually going to hear from me? Because as like an employer, it would be funny. Imagine you're hiring for someone and that's your format, right? So you dedicate a day like, I'm going to go through all of these. Your first reactions will be priceless. I guarantee you, out of all of them, there'll be one, God, you're ugly. There'll also probably be one, I ain't no bad, you know. I can't hire you. Keep it moving. Then, you know what I mean? Like,
so then how much of an air of bias would there be?
There's bias in paper CVs.
There is, but at the same time, it's negligible. Like, well, it's probably not even negligible. It's the system that we use. Like, essentially, all throughout the world and everything else, we use a bunch of broken systems, and simply because we use them and they're somewhat working, we continue to use them.
I don't know if they're necessarily broken. They're maybe archaic, like they're old. You know what I mean? But no one's come along with a better solution. But seriously, like, writing CVs is long. It's so long.
It is.
Because there's no official rules.
But then even if you was to reframe it to the point of where it's like it's a 30-second video essentially selling yourself, a lot of people would still struggle with that initial thing of selling themselves, bigging themselves
30-second voice note. Can't discriminate based on anything that way.
Get that morning growly voice, so it's a little bit.
Mine sounds alright though. It'd probably be a plus.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll get in there. Get all up in that. I can't wait to apply for this role. I'll be walking in, they'll be thinking I'm a completely different person.
Walking in there high pitched and just like,
I would love to work for your company. I can't. I just really would love the opportunity. And I walk in and I'm like, my name, yes. But no, yeah, writing CVs is tricky, man. It's hard to write about yourself anyways, right? Because everyone will go more, well, most people will try and kind of go more humble than they need to because they'll think they're going too arrogant when they're probably not. And they're actually quite middle ground anyways. Because actually being overtly arrogant is actually quite tricky. Because if you read it back, you realize that you sound like an absolute mug.
So,
you know what I mean?
As somebody that reviews CVs and everything else, what would be your top 3 tips for making a decent CV?
I mean, for a start, if you're applying for something that requires qualifications, make sure you have the qualification, otherwise you are wasting yourself and their time. That's yours and their time, sorry. That's just you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed how often that happens.
Point 2?
Don't make it black and white. Put something on it that differentiates it from everyone else's. It's a competitive field. If there are 100 to 200 people applying for one job, which is probably on the smaller end, most of them are going to have black and white CVs. Give me a reason to remember your CV before I read it.
Bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I think at one point in my life, I was that broken, that down with it. I'd done a CV with a typewriter.
I've seen people handwrite them.
Yeah. Oh, damn. I thought typewriter was bad.
I respect it. You got to do what you got to do, no?
Yeah.
You could handwrite a CV and it could still look good.
Hey, some people's handwriting's banging. Mine could still like
look...
a friggin' doctor's.
I have to write in all capitals for a reason. But it could still be a good CV. Plus, if you're walking around with handwritten CVs, giving them to people, I respect that grind. I'm probably going to have a look at it.
Dave's just got a sweatshop cranking out his copies of his CV.
No, there's one there. But if I was at work and someone walked in and done that, chances are I'm going to read that because I'm like, man, that takes something. Like, you've walked in, dropped me a little A4 little love note about why you're good.
But then...
You know what I mean? Yeah. There's something kind of authentic and original about that, you know? I'm just going to get white paper and just bust out charcoal CVs.
And point 3,
Big
just to
Dave.
Cap that off before we get too
Gorilla
lost.
hands. Balding. Decent pair of hands, though.
Decent class.
More than decent, let's be real. Let's be fair.
You did say we kind of under exaggerate.
So they're like 48 centimetres, bro.
What would point 3
Put some respect on that, man.
Some respect on it.
I'm saying decent.
Point
above
3.
average. That's where all the hip drive comes from, and people don't know it, okay? You're neglecting it, and you're upsetting your partners in the process if you've got skinny calves, all right?
Guys, I'm trying to get you...
There's no there.
I'm trying to get you 3 concise points to help with your CV, but it's hard, dude, to bleed it out of.
Oh, third one. Probably be personal statement. You could capture a lot about yourself in that first paragraph. If someone's going to read anything, it's probably going to be the top part. Like, you got to remember, employers are going to look for things to screen you out. We don't, like, they don't probably mean that in a nasty way, but they're trying to be efficient. They've got a lot of applications. It's very rare that you're going to get like 2 applicants. Especially if jobs are kind of like at the first rung of the ladder, there's going to be a lot of applicants.
What would you say to applying for jobs out of your current field, or say supposedly out of your reach? Would you say like give it a punt and just
You mean as in like completely different sector to what you're in, or like something that you're not qualified for? Because there is vast differences, bro. Like if you're just starting out, or your only experience is entry level, and you're applying for a CEO's job, let's be realistic here.
Something that you're underqualified for, but doesn't need any legal qualifications for, if that makes sense.
There's always it's always worthwhile having a punt. Just be realistic, because there's a chance that you're not going to get that. It's probably quite a high chance because there's probably someone who is qualified or more qualified than you. That's the point of qualifications, right? But there's still a chance that someone could see that and go, actually, there might be another opportunity around here for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happens if they have like an apprentice-based role and they go, actually, you're a decent candidate?
Would you say going kind of humble and honest about kind of this is my experience level, or try to exaggerate yourself a little bit to maybe get yourself...
If you're trying to overreach humble and honest, mate, you're going to get found out real fast if you don't. Because if you act like you know but you don't, you're going to get found out and you're going to get fired.
Yeah, whereas if you come in, say that you don't know but you're willing to learn...
There's a chance that actually they could offer you something that you weren't expecting. They could offer you some kind of learning-based role, or some kind of more entry-level role with the premise to step up. You know what I mean? Like, you could get something out of it that you didn't know was coming.
And how much personal information would you include on a CV in that sense?
I limit it quite a lot. I would limit it quite a lot. The thing you have to remember as well, right, is if I'm applying for a job, I want to try and get as much of the odds in my favor as possible. So, the more I list, the more chance there is for someone to screen you out or be unconsciously biased. That's why I, for example, would not put my photo on CV.
I also think
there is an unconscious bias in people that is very hard to control. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but there is unconscious bias in people. That doesn't mean that they are racist or sexist or whatever. It could be anything.
I think...
But imagine you put your photo on a CV and you are actually very much qualified for the job. You've got good experience. But they just decided not to bring you in because they just didn't like the look of you. You just screwed yourself over.
I do think there is an air of kind of mystery could serve in your favour in that sense. Because, like, if you look at a CV as getting your foot in the door, you want them to have follow-up questions. So if you put general area, they may say, oh, so you said you're from, for example, South London. What area more specifically? It gives them to live on Barron Road, for example.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't put like my full postcode or zip code if you're in the US, because they don't need to know that unless I'm employed by them. But I would put a general area of the city I'm in, because that actually can work in your favor. Because some big companies may not list the branch you're actually applying for. Companies like the one I work for sometimes is a bit confusing, and it won't always list the exact branch, so you may not know the area you're applying for. So actually being screened out because, hey, guess what, you're like 20 miles away, might actually work out in your favor, because you'd probably want something a bit closer to home. Because it would probably be more efficient and more economical, because traveling that far on like rail and stuff gets expensive. Using petrol, gas, gets pricey too. Puts a lot of mileage in your car, stuff like that. So it could actually be in your best interest not to be going to apply for that, because it's not in your area geographically. That's long, especially if it's entry level, because you could probably find something closer to home. You know what I mean? I don't use the term entry level disparagingly, by the way. Like, jobs are jobs. You got to start somewhere, and at the end of the day, people got to do something.
So I was thinking about this in terms of the job market the other day. Is location is a massive factor that most people don't actually realise. For example, if you live in London or any kind of city life, there's going to be one type of job over another. If you live out in the countryside near the coast, you might get a lot more of dock style jobs or this or that. So like, there are so many.
Probably working in an arcade.
You could work in an arcade. You could work in some kind of tourist attraction.
Definitely harder to find work
park.
out those ways than it is in the big city. That's for sure.
But
there's a lot of studies linked to that kind of thing, especially like coastal areas.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the type of work in itself is different. So, for example, if you moved from a coastal city to the city or vice versa, you would then be exposed to a completely new job market that you've not really had much experience
I'm a farmer.
Or, bro, imagine you go the other way. You used to be an accountant. You got tired of city life, so you moved out to the thing. And now
I'm not a farmer.
You've got a shovel.
I'm a tax farmer.
Sitting there in a suit, like, shoveling horse manure.
That'd be funny.
But it happens, do you know what I mean? Like, bro, life takes its weird turns. People get moved about or whatever else. Like, so just understanding that, like, the types of jobs that you apply for can completely change depending on your location. Like, I know people that have worked on, like, aircrafts and all of that, and they have no qualifications in working on stuff like that, but their location, they need, like you were saying about the commutable distance. If all of the people with university degrees are in central to the cities and everything else, where a lot of the kind of, at least where we live, the big kind of factory works kind of pushed out to the countryside or whatever else, that's where they want the workers. That's where they need the workers. They don't need them in the city. They don't want to be them commuting and everything else.
Exactly.
The chances that they'd be late, the chances of this, that, and everything else happening goes way up. So your location in terms of a business, being close, having something on your doorstep, is amazing, bro. I remember I had a job that I could walk to. And I was like, this is sick, because I'm not spending anything on travel time. Travel time's low as anything. There's nothing that's going to make me late.
Exactly.
So I'm consistent as anything. And everything I make is mine.
If I lived like with walkable distance to work, I'd save a lot of money. A ton of money. The amount of money you'd save in your petrol, the amount of money that you'd save on like any kind of parking you have to go through, like all sorts of things. Bro, I'd save money on food. I'd go home for lunch. You know what I mean? Like, especially some of my days are quite long. If I'm like a 5-minute walk from home, I'm going to go home and chill for lunch, man. Screw this. I ain't going to spend money anywhere else. Plus, I'm going to make some banging food as well. Because, like, when you get to cook and you're in the mood for it, or when you just, even if it's like the most basic thing, but you're like, I'm in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Like, you bang out a bacon sandwich. Or if you're proper British, you bang out some cheesy beans on toast. And you're like, but I'm in the mood for them today. And you bang some chili flakes on those bad boys because you're like, ooh, look at me go, I'm continental.
If you put on music while you're
cooking... I'm cultured, I use chili flakes, baby.
I can handle spice.
Yeah! Spice playing Spice Girls in the background for double spice.
Bro, if you've put music on while you're cooking...
Good joke. Screw you, bro. I'm done with you, bro. I'm done with you, bro.
If you put music on while you're cooking, you know, no matter what you're cooking, it's going to be a storm.
Bro. Or, like, if you're cooking with someone that you're close with, also quite fun. I've learned that recently.
Very true, and messy.
But we've never really done it before. But now I'm like, actually, gassed about cooking too.
Just leave handprints everywhere.
It's fun. Plus, you just end up having your own little jobs, and you know what you're good at and what the other one's good at, so you kind of just flow with it. Like we have this whole thing at the moment where if there's a recipe that says like thinly sliced, I get toughed. Gorilla hands, bro. I'm not good at it. I'm chunky boy. But you need me to stir something. I'm your guy.
Taste tester?
I'm your guy. Need me to lift something? I'm your guy. Want me to open the oven so your glasses don't steam up? I'm your guy.
I need that, to be fair.
You know what I mean? You don't want to put on the oven gloves? I'm your guy. I'll use a tea towel.
Yeah, I don't like putting on gloves.
We know. Need a guy to get that stuff out that pan in the sink? I'm your man. You know what I mean? Need me to do some little mixy? I'm your man. Too poor to have a machine.
Manual labour.
That's why I need jobs. I'm trying to upscale my life, man. I just want a mixer, bro. I want to tell my mum I've made it. Look at him, mum, it's got 2 bits on it.
Mum, no hands, mama, no hands.
It's got 4 gears.
Oh, man.
But no, if you're doing CVs, make them stand out, man. But Don't be too much either. Subtle things make a big difference. Again, most TVs are black and white. Use something a bit different. Just a little bit of colour around it.
Here's
like
the
the way you
question.
lay it out. Make it a little bit different. Make
Would
it pop.
you use coloured font on a CV?
No. But that's just me because I'm weird. But I would rather have some colour in the background that would differentiate it. You know what I mean? Or a little bit of colour on the side. Like a little border down one side with some information.
What would your reaction be to an emoji in a CV?
Go away. I'm not interested. You can't use words. You can't express words. There's no point.
What's been the biggest turn off on a CV that you've seen that's made you literally put it in a bin?
Literally being like 2 lines long.
Exactly. What
Just,
were the lines?
I can't even remember. I was just so annoyed by it. I just got rid of it immediately.
Give me job now, please.
I was just like, go away. Waste of my time. Being like more than 2 pages long, I ain't got all day. It shows me that you can't condense things. It sounds like I'm being really mean, and I'm not, because I'm sure there's lovely people to do that. But again, like, I'm not hiring for like incredibly niche jobs. I'm not hiring a rocket scientist. You know what I mean?
But even if you have strict criteria, like, and this is the thing, you have to be
100%.
honest with yourself. Like, get a friend to look at your CV. Like, get somebody else to give you an honest opinion that's a fresh set of eyes.
If you're writing a CV and you're reading it, read it out loud. Read it out loud to yourself, and I guarantee you there's something in there you'll go, oh, that don't read well. Because grammar don't sound good in your head. If you say it out loud and you realize how long you have before you can breathe again, you'll realize that you need to shorten your sentences a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, mate, like, come on now.
Would you keep strictly work history on the CV? Or would you include things like experience gained through hobbies and things like that? If it had relevance to the job.
If it has relevance, absolutely tie it in. If you're applying for something like a personal trainer role and you had a semi-pro career in rugby, that's relevant.
Or say you, I don't know, competed on stage.
Relevant. You're a personal trainer. It's an attribute.
Say you was applying to be a mechanic and you enjoy going go-karting on the weekends.
Relevant. Shows you have experience working with motor vehicles.
So it's not unprofessional to put your hobbies on.
Not if they're relevant.
In that sense.
Unless they are hobbies that aren't very mainstream, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, you're applying.
Like, if you like chains and whips, you might not want to put that on your CV. We're all for you being you and doing your thing, but there's some things we don't need to know on your CV.
When does a kink become a hobby?
It's a good question.
Like, how often does it have to be before it's just like...
You got a stamp card.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, mate, you're back at this shop again. Like, you've got 10 stamps this week, mate.
Stamp. Go on, Tiger. Here you go. This one's free. Come 10 times, get the clinic, get your test.
Are there any clear no-nos that you wouldn't put on a CV? Just absolute, whether it be words or pictures. Obviously, no DPs, people.
I mean, anything offensive for a start is stupid. Anything that seems like... I would say anything that seems like anti-corporate, anti-company, anti-business would be silly because you're applying for a business. Anything political, I would keep that well away. Well away, to be honest with you. Again, love people having opinions on things, love people who want to get involved in politics, and love that people are active about things, but CV is not the place for them. There is a prime example. I have to be very careful of how I word this because it's a bit personal. But prime example is I know of someone who has left a role in a company, not mine, to go and work for a cause that they are very, very passionate about. But the cause they are very, very passionate about is one that is not very well received by many people.
Fox hunting!
Was. And that, for example, to me would be very dicey. Very, very dicey because they have their right to have an opinion on it. It's not bad, like in the sense that it's racist or fascist or anything like that. But it is still quite controversial. And it's the kind of one where there is not going to be anyone that has neutral ground on it. They're either going to be very yes or very no. And whichever one you are, they're not going to like the fact you're that one.
Cool, I need to know what this is.
And Like something like that, I would find tricky on a CV. Because it's not outrageous enough that I'm like, you're a terrible human being, and that's just bang out of order. But at the same time, my own opinion would clash with that. And I would think that actually you're a nasty person. And things like that I would find very tricky. And I don't know how that person would progress from there, because that will be on their CV, because they're working for a company that is basically an activist group for it. And to me, I'm just like, that must be just a massive CV killer. But then they're entitled to have that opinion.
Do you have to put every job on your CV?
It looks weird if you don't, because I have the right to ask you why there's a gap.
I mean, you have the... See, I see a loophole for this before. You could always say that you have an NDA, so you can just get around it.
I'd find that suspect.
But it doesn't matter if they've worked for a company and they've had to sign an NDA for their work, which in some parts of the world, and depending on what you do, some people do have to sign NDAs for companies and everything else.
I wouldn't be likely to hire you though.
So
I get the NDA part, but if that was it and you were like, can't talk about it, I would be very suspect, because there would be a way that you would be able to tell me something about it. I don't need to know the company name, what the mission was, etc. But you should be able to give me a very general shell-like term for what you were doing in that period of time. So if you said, actually, I was working with a company, I am under an NDA, so I can't name the company, and I can't name what we were working on, but I was part of a team working on a product. I'd be like, fair enough. Okay, there's some merit to that, right? Because that would make sense. But if you didn't even want to give me that, that's so suspect.
So then to build on that, how would you fill in the general gaps that some people tend to have in their CVs? Like maybe they've been job hunting for a couple of months and they've done nothing. And obviously
I'm unemployed.
But obviously...
I had to do that, bro.
Having those gaps, it looks... To some employers, it looks bad, especially if they're extended periods, if you've been out of work for a year, 2 years in some cases.
I hear you, but at the same time, I think you just got to front it and be honest with it. Like, when I was going for my first ever job, I was unemployed for the best part of a year. I couldn't find anything that I wanted. So I literally had to put on my CV my education and the fact that I'd been unemployed. That was my CV. I remember writing CVs and thinking, this is the stupidest thing in the world because I have no experience. But it taught me how to kind of take the transferable skills of education and being unemployed and trying to throw that into something.
But then obviously you've got an age window where that is acceptable to kind of not have experience and just have education on a CV.
Yeah, but there's again, it depends on why you were unemployed and how you back it. Do you know what? I was unemployed because I just had enough. I needed a break. I'd worked 10 years of my life. I was tired, I was stressed, so I had the finances. I took 2 years out and actually I just chilled out and done some traveling. Fair. Okay.
I think
I'm now ready to come back into the workforce.
If you do have gaps in your CV, I do think it's best to address them in some way and not just to leave them as a void of
You've got to.
Even a bit, and you say like I took a couple months out for myself. I was working on a project. I was helping some family. I was traveling. Whatever.
But it's highly unlikely to be a lie. It becomes a negative if you make it a negative. If you see that and go, "Oh, I was unemployed," okay, we've all been there. Like, most people have had a period in their life where they were unemployed, whether it was just out of school or at some point later in life. But it's about how you justify it. For some people, it will be, you know what, I actually just wanted to be a parent for a while. Fair enough. You don't need to justify any further than that. I get that, man. Do you know what? I've done 10 years, I've worked literally from school up until 30. I just wanted some me time. I never really had it. So I just went and traveled around for a bit. Absolutely fine. Like, they're not bad things to me. You took a break, you want to jump back into the workforce. You can build on that. I took some time out, I've taken a breath, I feel like I've matured a bit, I'm far more level-headed, it gave me perspective, I know what I want to get now, I know where I want to go to, this is why I want this role, so I can start here but then build up towards this.
I think the big thing is when we leave blank spaces like that, it leaves it up to the other person to fill it in themselves, and we have a tendency to go for the worst. So
Which is like, why you should list it.
2 years out of their CV, he must have been in a drunk tank, locked up, and this, that, and everything else. Do you know what I mean?
If I see gaps, it's naturally suspicious to me because it just naturally feels like you're hiding something.
So even if you see something that isn't necessarily impressive, even if it was, I took up the hobby of dog walking or bird watching or whatever else, it at least fills in that gap where it's, hey, they was doing something.
The justifications are easy. It's whatever it was for you. Even if you got fired, for example, right? And you had 2 years out. It didn't end well. I got fired, but you know what? That reminded me that I needed to take a moment. Fine.
So, is there one thing that you think every CV should have?
Your name?
Duh.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
You'd be surprised at what you see out there, bro.
Yeah. Okay. But a little bit deeper than name. Let's hope our audience knows well enough to put their name on their CV. Let's give them some credit.
I mean, it should obviously have like a personal statement or like a mission statement, and that's really your opportunity to try and get yourself across, and that's really important. Try not to be generic, especially if you use things like AI, like ChatGPT. It's obvious that we do it. We all do it. You gotta fine tune it, man. Don't just leave it as you found it. It's quite easy to spot.
Do you think
and it's not authentic?
It's a negative to use ChatGPT?
Yes. It's a negative if you don't do the tweaks after. It's a positive to use it because sometimes we all need a bit of help reworking things and rewriting things and laying them out.
And I think as well it does show a little bit of care of like, I've actually tried to actually improve this beyond myself.
To a degree.
But then like you're saying...
as I said, if you just copy and paste that, that's pretty poor. Because that shows no effort whatsoever.
Yeah, that's just outsourcing.
You have half-assed it. Like, there's no point doing that. But if you fine-tune it a bit, personalize it to you, fine. The world is going that way anyways. We're all going to start using AI a lot more. It's acceptable to me.
I'm thinking about a little project that little one had for a school kind of Easter, where she had to make a hat, and it's so clear that she didn't make it. And it's literally just like, bro, I had to like stitch things onto it and all of that, so that she couldn't really help or whatever. But in that same sense, it's just like, so many parents do that, and we still do that with our CVs, where it's just like, it's being overbearing now. Do you know what I mean? There's too much GPT and not enough of yourself. In that hat, there was too much dad and not enough daughter. Do you know what I mean?
That's a really perfect example. Like, especially like that personal statement. It's a personal statement, not a chat GPT statement. You know, again, use AI for some examples of how to word things, but then run with it. Because that's, as an employer, like if I do read that, bearing in mind I've probably screened a whole bunch of things before I've got there, but that's very specific because I'm looking for a qualification. I'm not being a dick, excuse my French, but we're far enough in now. But I need that qualification. If it's not there, we are wasting both of our time.
Do you know what? I'm wondering if any employers have ever kind of chucked somebody's CV in ChatGPT and gone, "Hey, did you do this?"
You know them on
just to catch them out that way.
You know them on
You're going to recognise your own work, GPT.
Just email them a screenshot of it going, "That does look like my work."
That is something I would say.
But no, yeah, run with a personal statement. Like, keep it on mission. You know, you're applying for that job. Why are you applying for that job? Especially if you're changing sectors. Because you may not have the experience. You probably won't have the experience. You may not have qualifications relevant. So that personal statement could be the one thing that gets you in the door. Because it won't be the rest of your CV.
And this is the thing. If we're saying first impressions matter and everything else, your CV is that first chance to make that first impression.
It's your calling card. It is an advertisement of you. That's your document. So be on it. Be the document. But you need to do it in words. Because, as I said, I've seen people put their photos on CVs, and fair enough, but not for me. Because in my head, I would always feel like there is a chance that I am going to get unconsciously ruled out because of someone's bias. Whether they mean it or not.
If he was better looking, would you be like, yeah, put that handsome mofo on there?
Probably not, because I wouldn't want them to just be like, oh, he looks alright. No.
Pretty privileged.
Take me based on my experience and my words, and then meet me. That's a principle thing for me. But, yeah, again, your mission statement needs to be on point. Try not to use too many generic words either. Like organized. You know.
Or filler words like and but.
Responsible. Okay. That tells me a lot.
Timely.
I should bloody hope so, otherwise I'm going to fire you. Like, you know what I mean? Loyal. Are you? Because you're applying for a job. You can't be that loyal, can you?
Is there anything that people just completely miss when they're doing their CVs? Like something where you're just like, man, this person hasn't even put a contact number on there.
Yeah, sometimes things like that, but like the things that kind of I find a bit meh or a bit sloppy is like formatting. Some people's CVs are very hard to read. They don't, or like using a document format that's not very good and doesn't convert well is pretty obvious. Like you want to do something fairly universal like a PDF because it will open better, it will view better. You know, most employers are probably going to be looking on a desktop, so you want it to look clean and you want it to look good, be able to open up on software.
That being said, would you still ever carry around paper copies of your CV?
I mean, I used to when I was hunting. Been a hot second though. Also, take a copy of your CV to your interview.
That's a good. And read your CV before. Remember what you've actually said to these people.
Copy of your CV to an interview, because that person may not actually have one. They may not have printed one. They may not have thought it through. But that's your way of saying, "I got you, fam." That looks good to me. That shows that you're actually quite keen to get yourself across in this interview.
Yeah, and
You brought your calling card to the interview. This is my document. I will be referencing this. Because if they may have read it, they may not have. But now you're kicking that door off its hinges and going, you're going to read it. You're going to read it properly now. You know what I mean? And it gives you reference points that that's your neutral land. If they go, oh, what about this? Well, actually, as you can see here, I had this many years of experience at this place and I was actually done this, and this. It's your reference point. It keeps you grounded.
So would you, to build off of that and kind of get a little bit off of CVs, would you advocate for cover letters
Yes.
or would you say they're kind of not worth the time?
I think if you're applying for a job that's not in your field, I think that gold does. Because it is a massive opportunity to get your point across in a very formal, professional manner. You know what I mean? It's a way to explain why your CV doesn't match what they're probably expecting. So there's a chance that they will then go, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's another opportunity to communicate.
I looked through a bunch of CVs recently. I didn't see a single cover letter.
Oh, really?
Didn't see a single one. Saw a bunch of CVs that were not industry specific.
See, as far as I've always understood it, like a CV is meant to be more generic and a cover letter is meant to be specific. So if I'm doing a cover letter or whatever else, I want to have some kind of reference to the company or something to the company's involved in or
Definitely.
whatever.
And as I said, if I'm applying for a completely different sector, I would definitely use a cover letter. Because I would explain that I like the look of the company that I'm applying for. I like what they're about or this. This is what I'm trying to do. This is the stuff I have done. My CV is based on this, but I want to come into this sector. So I'm looking to get into this position. I'm looking to learn in this position. I'm looking to see what opportunities you have. You know what I mean? It gives you a chance to be a little bit generic, but also quite specific. Because you can apply for a certain job, but also in that cover letter say, I am open to other positions in this sector. And that could be enough for them to go, actually, do you know what? You look like you've got decent experience in certain things. You might be ideal for this. And then you can build into that.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you've actually got your foot in the door. And at least you're now in the sector so you can progress. You know what I mean? So that to me would be like very specific for that. If I was applying for an industry that I'm already in, I probably wouldn't. My CV would speak loud enough because it's full of this industry. So I think the kind of mission statement, personal statement, and the experience would be fine. You know what I mean? Personally.
I'm trying to think, is there any more kind of loose ends we could tie up about CVs?
Don't make them too long. No one's going to read it. Being honest. Again, it sounds mean, but I'm not being mean. No one is going to read 5 pages of CV.
Would you say bullet points over paragraphs? Or
yes.
Keep
Especially
it
for
short
experience.
and sweet?
Especially for experience. To me, a personal statement should be a paragraph. It should be a decent paragraph. But then to me, I think CVs flow better when the experience is bullet pointed. Because again, it's keynotes, right? It's enough to kind of, it's the proverbial carrot in front of the donkey, right? With the donkey being the employer, the carrot being the employee. Nibble, nibble, come get me. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to see that I have done specific things that get you enticed by me. Then if you want, meet me in person, I will expand on all of those to you. Because you can ask me a whole bunch of questions about them. Because if you're interviewing me, you should have questions about them. Well, it says here that you've done headstands in a shopping centre. Yeah, I didn't know. Is that part of your job? Yeah, so actually I was hired to be a circus clown, and actually I had to entertain kids at the shopping centre. So yeah, I've done headstands. I'm quite acrobatic actually. Done. Do I need to put all that on the CV? No. Condensed, like it should be efficient to read. To me, the more that's on there, the harder it is to see things.
Yeah.
See where I'm coming from? So if you're looking at a CV and it's just words, you're probably gonna look at that and go, "Oh, that's long." People are busy, bro. Like, people already have unconscious bias. People are busy. People are stressed. People ain't got enough time anyways. So things like that, they're going to put people off because they just be like, that's an essay.
Hey, essay.
That CV's chatty Cathy. And I can't even hear you, but you're chatty Cathy. Whereas if I see like a nice big paragraph of personal statement and the rest is kind of very bullet pointed and efficient, I'm probably going to be enticed by it because I'm going to think, all right, I can see key skills, see qualifications. What's the personal statement about? Well, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And then I have an idea. That's the way I would look at it personally. I'm sure other people have different opinions on, hey, if you're an employer, I'd be curious to hear your feedback on it. And drop a comment and let us know what you look for.
Yeah, it's definitely important to kind of cover your bases and kind of show variety throughout that CV. And
add a touch of colour. Don't mean turn the whole thing pink. But add a dash somewhere. Make it look different. Format it differently. Remember, most people are going to submit an A4 page that's just going to be text. Black and white. Make yours look a little bit different and it will probably go a long way. A little border or little underlining, little formatting, like a little bit of colour on the left or the right. List things a bit differently. You know, don't just go, well, how about I have the body here, but then I have some stuff over here so that you can actually see it all in one place. So if that's a PDF and I open it, I go, boom, okay, there's information, done. Yeah, humans are efficient.
Kind of encourage the person to explore the page a little bit. Don't just have everything, like, you ever been reading something and the whole page just kind of disorientates because everything is just too linear and too So if you want somebody to spend time looking at your CV, make it enjoyable to look at, man.
That's my point. Get it condensed. Get it in there. Get it in one place.
Not too condensed. Not 2 lines. Not 2 lines.
We don't want 2 lines. But make it easy to see. Make it easy to read. Make it engaging to read. Like, it's you. Sing about yourself. Don't be arrogant. Don't be an idiot. But don't be afraid to say, I'm good at this. I can do this. Like, I'm competent. I'm confident. Because there's nothing wrong with that. People want that. I don't want to have to, like, baby someone into something. I want you to have some competency about you that if I can give you an instruction, you can go and do it. Go and do it.
Yeah. And again, like, your CV should show that you've made some of the effort so that you know that person is going to do that stuff. Like, again, if it is your first kind of calling card, your first impression amongst those people and that, they want to see that you're actually willing to put in some damn effort. If you literally just copied and pasted from ChatGPT onto a black and white page and then sent it into them, really and truly, how much of an effort are you going to make for them? Like, I know it's something that we probably all battle with, like how often do you go above and beyond and how much is too much and everything else. But when you're trying to make that first impression, you have to go above and beyond. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice. That's where you have to lead with your best foot forward.
100%.
The rest, you can mediate over time and everything else. But when you're trying to get your foot in the door, you really do have to kind of lead with confidence and lead with your best ideas, man.
So I think 100%.
Don't be lazy on it at all.
Don't be lazy on it, man. Don't be afraid to sing about yourself. Don't be afraid to make yourself look good. Be honest about it, though. Don't overinflate because you'll get found out.
Yeah, don't lie.
But also, really importantly, like, I'll finish on a really positive note, is you miss all the shots you don't take, right? So if you do see a job and you think, actually, I'd quite like to do that, but, I don't have the experience, give it a shot. You stand to lose nothing. Is there a chance the person hiring will look at your CV and go, you don't have the experience and I can't do that right now? Yeah, of course there is. But there's also a very slim chance, but still a chance, that they might like what's on your CV and think, there's a decent opportunity to mold this person into a company person that's going to help us. You just don't know. If you don't take the shot, you don't have any chance.
The thing is, it's definitely worth trying. But again, it's if you're doing that, don't just blindly apply. Actually make a noticeable effort.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're wasting their time and yours.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Should we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, boy.
Want to do a seed?
No thanks. That's more your repertoire.
Yeah, you shoot blanks.
Thank God.
The lively seed for this episode is if you are looking to do up a CV, change your careers, change about life a little bit, understand that it's a short-lived shake-up of life. It makes things a little bit uncomfortable and everything else. But my God, if you want to move on to other areas of life, if you're not happy in the job that you're in, or you're not earning enough, or you're not fulfilled, changing and temporary discomfort is far better than suffering. So get out there, put in the effort, make yourself known, and put in the most effort and vigor you can into getting yourself out of that situation. Because you deserve to live a decent, happy life and have a decent, good job. If your CV is the only thing standing in your way of it, put the damn effort in it. You will get there. Talk to a friend about it. Outsource it to other people. If somebody you apply for a job with, they refuse your CV, ask them why. There's never any harm in asking follow-up questions if you've been rejected. Like, learn these things for yourself. Ask the difficult questions. And you'll get better over time. Keep applying and you'll get somewhere. Just don't give up. All the best, and we'll catch you on the next one.